Rush Limbaugh is the loudest and most offensive voice on the right. When he talks, people listen to his vitriol. I don't know why, but they do. In a Huffington Post column today, filmmaker Robert Greenwald explores the connection between Limbaugh and the conservative activist billionaires, the Koch brothers. And he writes, Limbaugh is fundamentally a mouthpiece for conservative propaganda. He's not a researcher. He's not a grassroots organizer. He's a mouthpiece. A big one at that, by the way. How Limbaugh and others get their talking points is the focus of Greenwald's upcoming documentary, Koch Brothers Exposed. Robert Greenwald joins us now from Culver City, California. Robert, welcome inside the War Room.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you here. So today, on the Huffington Post, you wrote, he meaning Rush Limbaugh, has to get his ideas from somewhere. He can't feed the right-wing echo chamber that's hijacking our democracy if someone isn't feeding him first. And that's where the Kochs come in. Can you explain how that works?
Yes, I will. Well, we've spent the year with our Koch Brothers Exposed investigation. It's literally just 1 year anniversary coming up now. And as much as I disagree with them on all the fundamental issues, where they're in fact very, very smart is how they fund. And there's a wonderful quote about the Kochs that was in the original article by Jane Mayer in the New Yorker that got all of our eyes open. And David Koch said, I understand that politicians are actors, no offense, Jennifer, they're actors who read from a script. And what we, the Koch brothers, want to do is write that script. And the way they write that script is by funding think tanks, funding pundits, funding grassroots activists, and then ultimately funding the candidates who are now reading from the script, from the ideas that they have funded. Rush Limbaugh is an important part of that. He attended one of their, quote, hidden conferences in Vail, Colorado, with, among others, by the way, Clarence Thomas. And it's at these meetings, it's in this structure, it's in the way the think tanks interact with the right-wing pundits that the Kochs over and over again are getting their message across. Nothing illegal, by the way, but profoundly troubling to our democracy.
So for people who really don't know who the Koch brothers are, can you just fill us in a little bit on who they are, what their background is, what's the businesses that they have been involved in?
Well, the Koch brothers, like many of these types, were born with wealth. Their father was a member of the John Birch Society, made a lot of his money overseas selling oil to Stalin, by the way, came back here, and then they inherited his empire. They are very smart businessmen. They now have somewhere between 75 and 100 businesses, everything from paper towels to toilet paper to oil companies to General Pacific, a company that's spread throughout the country. And one of the most devastating examples in our documentary, Jennifer, is this small town, African-American town, where literally the people are saying to David Koch, who's a cancer survivor, please stop poisoning the air because we are dying of cancer. So they have a multitude of businesses. They are the fourth or fifth or seventh or eighth richest people in the entire country. If you put the brothers' wealth together, they come out to be number one. So they have billions and billions.
They've been very shrewd about funding these right-wing organizations, including groups like people might recognize Americans for Prosperity and others who are engaged, in disseminating ideas that fuel a lot of these right-wing talk show hosts and politicians. So the question that people watching might say, well, so what? They're billionaires. Don't they have a right to free speech like anybody else?
They totally have a right to free speech. Our job is to point out that free speech is organized, paid for, bought, and packaged by the Koch brothers. And one of our videos we have in the film is about Social Security. And we spent 4 months on this, where we track the words that are used in the papers, in the think tanks, funded by the Kochs, not illegal. You then see those words taken by pundits who go on the air, pundits who work for Koch brothers organizations, nothing illegal. And then you see elected officials pick up and use those same words. That's an echo chamber working very effectively.
So we hear it in Rush Limbaugh. Who else? Where else might we hear it?
You name it. You know, any one of the Fox shows, any one of the right-wingers seem to over and over again march to a similar drum, which is, you know, the talking points, and it's pretty simple, only they provide fresh evidence. They want no government regulation of any kind because they interferes with their ability to squeeze every last nickel out of us, and because they're ideologically opposed to government at its core.
Is there a big think tank that we might recognize that they are affiliated with?
Heritage, Cato, although I saw in the news today they're suing Cato for some reason, but they were big funders of both of those.
To become more in control, I think. It was for more control over Cato.
Hard to imagine they could have any more.
Right. Well, in your movie, you talk to Senator Bernie Sanders, and
Yes.
and I'm wondering who else do you talk to about the Koch Brothers echo chamber in your movie? Were you able to talk to reporters or even the Koch brothers themselves?
No. We called the Koch brothers many times, but surprise, surprise, they have so far refused to talk to us. They have attacked us through their mouthpiece, Koch Facts, which is a contradiction in terms if we've ever heard it, and they've gone after us. But they've refused to come forward and talk to us, just like they've refused to go in front of Waxman's committee, where they're saying, no, we're not making any money from tar sands, yet they won't testify about it. They claim that Americans for Prosperity is a grassroots organization, and when the Obama folks said, okay, prove it, they've refused to do that. So this is a kind of consistent pattern with them of saying one thing, but using all of their money, all of their lawyers to stay in the shadows. And our job and the jobs of the tens of thousands of people on the Facebook page, the people who are going to do screenings and house parties with the Koch film, the organizations who are working with DFA and Greenpeace and Campaign for America's Future, our job is to put a light on the shadows and to say, yes, it's free speech. Here's what they're doing. Here's who's paying for it, and here's what you need to know.
So where can people go to find out about the movie?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. KochBrothersExposed.com is the Facebook page. It's also the website where you can order the film. You can follow me on Twitter, where we're putting up a lot of the clips. But most importantly is working with what we hope will be 50 organizations helping to spread the word. Have a house party, have a screening, get a DVD, give it to church or school or labor union, because we're up against a large operation and we need to fight back.
Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us inside the War Room. Really appreciate it and the work you're doing. Documentary filmmaker Robert Greenwald, Koch Brothers Exposed, as he says, opens at the end of March. It actually opens on March 29th in New York City.